Howdy, it is I, Junk, back once again so soon. I know that normally I like to take days or even weeks between videos where I talk to you, but, well, number one, unpredictability is my greatest weapon. I mean, it's not skill, right? And number two, in the comment to the last video I posted where I was talking, Kamu, and I apologize if I got that name wrong, please correct my pronunciation. Kamu left a comment requesting a hangar of robots. So, this is that hangar. Whoop, got ahead of myself here. Let's talk through what the robots are. I'll let you know what my concerns are, what the strengths I think will be, and then let's try some gameplay with it in a couple different modes for reasons I'll get into in a minute. So, Harpy and Siren over here. They're very similar. I didn't really run these things when they were the meta because I hated them. And I didn't just hate the fact that they blew me up all the time. I think they look like chickens. I think they have the physicality of a chicken. If you imagine the top weapon here is a head, and then these are the wings, and then look at the waddle and the way they walk, this is a chicken. So the weathered chickens, I'm like, I don't want to fly a giant chicken. I don't think that's... And then the funny thing is that now you've got the Aether, and Predator says the Aether looks like a chicken, like the special edition one, which looks like, you know, a Veritech mech. I don't think my dude has ever seen a chicken. But whatever. These are the skills. They're going to be the same on the Siren, I'm pretty sure. And 2 nuke amps and an anti-control. They're here for a good time, not a long time. Oh, forgot to look at the pilot skills over here. Yeah, I think it's the same skills, and just they're in a different order. The Hawk here, Blight and Decay, this is a bit unusual for me because normally I wouldn't take 3 different amps. Other than the Kepri, I don't think I do that on current robots. Because usually there's one skill I want to lean into more than the other. I think this will work as it is. And the anti-control itself is even semi-optional because this is the Kyle Rogers pilot, which gives you control, well, lockdown or suppression immunity anyway, while in flight. The things I changed on this loadout for the pilot, I dropped Modules Expert and Mechanic and picked up Engine Expert and Spy. So I'm losing 1 tick of healing when I hit the repair amp, and I'm losing the passive healing of Mechanic to get a little bit more speed in general, and then even more speed when in the air. The reason is when I ran this back in the day, it was usually during the Muramets meta. So that extra tick of module was Quantum Radar. And since I had a Quantum Radar, I didn't have any healing. So the passive healing helped make up for the lack of an active healing module, and I got a little bit more time to shoot at the Muramets before my Quantum Radar ended. Since I'm not using Quantum Radar on this particular version, I've got it on the Siren. I put the Advanced Repair Unit on, and I went for the speed skills. Cryptic Fenrir. I ran this for so long, except I didn't run the limited edition shotguns. The funny thing is, the weapons in this hangar, the limited edition shotguns and the limited edition Smuta, I think are affirmatively ugly. And I had no interest in running them until they had a 5% damage boost, and then you kind of have to, you dance with the one that brung you. What I don't like about these shotguns is 2 things. One, I don't really love that it took a standard edition design that looked mostly realistic and then turned it into this thing that looks like the papercraft version of the shotgun. And 2, it's this kind of like halo effect they gave with the hologram. I think the hologram effect is very cool, but doing it in this halo, it has this kind of like Hulk Hogan skullet vibe. Only way I can describe it. Where, like, why wouldn't they cover the top 2? I don't understand. So the appearance I don't love, but the effect I love of the damage. It's funny because I usually like. I mean, obviously I'm an American. I live in the D.C. area, and I usually like the American paint jobs and things like the Butch and the Fafnir, but oof, not feeling this one. The one change I made to Bernadette's abilities was I dropped mechanic and picked up modules expert. I think technically that'll give me more healing if I'm consistently healing. And what can I say about the Smuta Behemoth? 2 immune amps and the nuke amp. That's what Predator's been running to make up for the speed loss and to make it even, bullet spongier. I think it works pretty well. Plus, Smutas will load up a nuke amp just fine on their own. You don't need 2. And I didn't change anything about this loadout. This is almost every Andre has some version of this. With every now and again you have to make some concessions and changes. Like for the Andre that is built out for Hammer, he's got shot grouping instead of gunsmith. Because I'd rather have the greater accuracy than boosting your damage while your accuracy is too low is not necessarily a giant win. And then there's this boy back here. And this is the thing I'm probably most apprehensive about in the whole hangar. Because I never really ran Arthur. I think I've mentioned before, I took a long break from the time the Korea bots came out, the Dash bots, like Bulgasari. I was like, well, this is bogus, because at the time everybody had just, gotten their rockets, and I had just leveled up something with rockets. It might have been the old school Lancelot, I think. And I just gotten the rockets leveled, and it was like, oh no, I remember what it was. It was the Fujin. I had just gotten my Orkans to level 9. And they released the Dash bots and made the Orkans useless. And I said, well, this game is pay-to-win bogus nonsense. And I quit. Played every other game in the market, and nothing quite replicated the mixture of crunchiness and fluidity that War Robots has achieved. Despite all their flaws, and there are so many, the actual feel of the underlying game usually is pretty good. So when I came back in the middle of the Fafnir meta, it was right either before or after, right during, I guess, the Nodens nerf. And since I hadn't really gotten used to the Nodens when it was faster, I didn't feel like I lost anything. So I ran Nodens until I got Luchador. I didn't run Minos either. So I wouldn't say I didn't play any games with Arthur, but I had never actually leveled the Arthur even past like 20. And I only went back and leveled it when there was an event for like Titanic Efforts type thing. And I had leveled everything else there is. So at this point, I've got the problem where I've leveled every Titan and every Titan weapon and every Titan module in multiples. I mean, the modules in multiples, the weapons in multiples, the Titans just once. So those Titanic Effort quests are like really a race to see, can I get a new thing for the Titan? Or do I have to just pick up a random, like, my 9th lantern and just level the 9th lantern so I can get the points for the leaderboard? Yes, to have such problems, right? But all of that said, I don't really, like, I don't know. Here, I should show the modules too. Lantern Arthur strikes me as a weird combination because Arthur's blast wave is kind of an up close and personal thing, and the lantern is kind of a ranged weapon. So I don't really, I mean, I don't know. I understand the value of the shield in a shootout against other lanterns. I don't know exactly what the use situation is that I'm going to be glad I have this build. But that is, admittedly, much more a factor of my ignorance of the Titan than it is some intrinsic flaw. The intrinsic flaw about this hangar as a whole that concerns me is that this is a really worrisome hangar for a beacon mode. The big problem is having both Harpy and Siren. And these are fun robots at the beginning of a beacon mode match, but they're not great at running beacons, right? They go up and down. They don't go side to side so fast. And they're not great at holding beacons. So it's a challenge to take and hold beacons with those robots. I don't know if I've ever done it successfully. I've seen people do it. I understand the concept. And the reason I've seen people do it is because I've blown them up when they've tried. So that it makes me apprehensive. So that leaves us with Hawk, Fenrir, and Behemoth. I don't think I have to say a whole lot about why Behemoth isn't great at grabbing beacons. I've run beacons in a Fenrir before. It wouldn't be my first choice for lots of reasons. And Hawk is the unfortunate combination. I mean, Hawk is like the classic glass cannon, right? Well, it's the unfortunate combination of mobile, but only in short bursts, right? Only when flying, and very fragile. So you really can't take beacons too quickly, because once your ability is done, you're just kind of waiting for it to come back. And when you get there, you really can't win a whole lot of shootouts. If you think about the meta robots right now, right? Like Angler and Kepri, what do they have in common? They're pretty mobile, and you don't really want to be fighting them on a beacon up close because they're both very dangerous. Even Nether, which is, obviously hugely mobile, kind of struggles. I mean, I would at least, and I'm sure all the Nether stands are going to come at me for this. I would say that the Nether kind of struggles in one-on-ones against Anglers and Kepris. And a lot's going to depend on how many ability charges you have up and what the weapons are, on both the robots. But I would argue that it's challenging to hold a beacon with a Nether. You might clear it, but it's challenging to hold it. So looking at this, the only robot really you can hold a beacon. I mean, I guess you can hold a beacon with a Behemoth, but they're going to if they get up close to you, you might be in trouble. So the only real robot here that can run a beacon and hold it is Fenrir, and that's not the best beacon runner I've ever seen either. So anyway, that's enough about my apprehension. The strengths, more or less everything else, I think. It covers. You got really good coverage for any shielded bots, because not just the Harpy and the Siren, but the Arthur's Blast Wave will be useful there. Also, I think the Blast Wave will be useful against Anglers, because they're going to want to snuggle you to blind you, but then if your shield isn't broken, and I guess if they don't gravity amp you, which I'm sure they will, you turn the shield to them and you Blast Wave and you wait to be able to see them again. So yeah, I think it's not that it's a bad hanger. I think it's going to struggle a little bit in beacon mode. So I want to play one beacon rush, and then I'll play either a free-for-all or a team deathmatch. Team deathmatch is probably better. I don't really want to take Harpy and Siren into a free-for-all either. I think that's... I'm sure there's people who do it, but that strikes me as really challenging, because all you have to do is run into one Angler and get chewed up by rust rockets. So let's get into some gameplay and see if we can make this thing work in Beacon Rush. Alright, we're dropping in on Beacon Rush on Dreadnought. I've played 4 games. There's 2 that I thought kind of encapsulated the challenges and triumphs, although some of it's a skill issue, as we'll get into. First thing is, I figured if I have a Harpy and a Siren both, I should drop one of them first, just to see if I, if you got a bot that's basically a copy of another bot, then you should view one of them as disposable at least, or, disposable-ish. So, usually with a Harpy or Siren, I'm looking to see enemy Harpy or Sirens that go up early, so I can get some free shots on them. Kind of a sniper versus sniper. With Dreadnought, because of the distance of the spawns, usually the first move is to get on top of the Dreadnought. But the mistake people make that I see is they walk to the top edge of the Dreadnought and shoot downward with a Siren or Harpy. You don't need to do that with a Siren or Harpy, and it exposes you to enemy fire. If you can see them, they can see you. The better thing is to try to position yourself between these two kind of con towers, next to this C. That lets you support left, right, and center. The trick is then to go left or right, you fly up. So you've got your reflector when you go up, and you teleport back down. It minimizes your exposure and lets you get some free shots in. Well, not quite free, because you can still be shot, but lets you maximize your longevity, which in theory should maximize your ability to win. Having said that, I managed to not do that correctly here. I just missed. I didn't quite time the teleport back right. So I end up taking some damage from those prismas. And you can imagine, my first order of business now is sniper versus sniper. So I'm walking over, and I go further than I need to. I really could have teleported sooner. But I get the job done. Mission accomplished. Teleport back, and because the Seraph is a couple steps forward, I'm not actually injured by my bad spacing there. And I immediately turn and try to support the other beacon. The thing to know about this, it is very effective briefly. But as you would imagine, at some point you've killed enough people that the red team is aware of your position and has changed their priorities accordingly. I'm not sure how this Revenant got behind me. I assume it was a lag thing where I was facing that way when he teleported, and by the time he got up there, he turned around. And so, yeah, you can see I've been triaged up the list of their concerns, which this is when I'm starting to think, is this, I've been in this bot for 3 minutes now. Do I need any more time here? And especially once I've lost a weapon. Everything I do until I ditch this bot from now on, it takes 25 seconds is my recollection. We'll see how close to accurate I am. I'm not even really paying a whole lot of attention. I'm thinking about my next bot and where to drop it. And I'm not loving the map in this particular second, because I don't see a good beacon to defend, really. Or at least not one where I have a bot that I could drop where I feel it would be comfortable. I feel comfortable doing it. I don't want to drop Arthur at D, because it's too far away and Arthur's very slow, but fortunately my teammate takes B, and I can drop in Arthur. Now my thought process was, I thought, okay, looking at the position of everything, I'm assuming that we were going to face an Aether, maybe like an Aether and a Luchador shooting into B, so I could use my shield and shoot back and win that shootout. Two things I didn't really factor in. One, I didn't realize there was going to be an Angler, and two, I didn't know I was going to get gravity amped. Now, the Angler by itself, I feel like we could have dealt with. But gravity amping, when I turn to deal with the Angler, I can't turn back to make my shield face the robots that are shooting at me. And it's like, because I didn't commit early enough to either one, I lost both fights. So that was, I don't know if it was a skill issue so much as it was a player awareness issue. I guess that's still a skill issue. I thought for sure this was going to be an easier shootout than it was, and I guess I just hadn't accounted for the buff Sonics in the absence of a drone, because I haven't played really I don't think I played Fenrir since they took the drones out, because he did way more damage to me than I expected. And while I like our bot advantage, I don't like that I've got a weapon that isn't particularly effective except up close, and I can see they've got ranged weapons on the other side. So rather than have them shoot me, I'd rather just ditch and get into something I can shoot back at them in. Which, fortunately, I managed to do. Now, unfortunately, I managed to not really either pick the right bot or play it very effectively, I guess. Because I thought I could win this shootout, and I would like to blame it on the last stand, but I don't think I quite got to his last stand even. He just did more damage than me. So then I decided I'm going to drop in here to try to protect this beacon, because now I'm thinking, okay, well, I don't have to stop him from flipping it to white. If I can just stop him from flipping it to red till time runs out, this could be okay. Like, I don't need to necessarily win. I can just, like, a draw is a win. And I get saved by the bell there. That I would have lost that fight too. So that would have been 3. Basically, every bot but the Harpy, I lost to picking bad matchups and maybe not really knowing what I'm doing too much. At the same time, one beacon is also a reflection. I don't even know where I got that one beacon. Did you see me get a beacon? Because I don't know which one that would be. That's also a reflection of the limitation on the ability of any of these bots to really beacon run. And here's the guy with 13 kills on the other team. So let's now get into a team deathmatch. Alright, we're dropping in now to team deathmatch. Since we didn't have really strong beacon runners or too many beacon defenders, I figured let's get rid of the beacon, see if we have better luck. The problem is I don't play a lot of team deathmatch. So I'm sure bad instincts are going to come into play here too, which, I mean, I've already played the game, I just don't remember what I did wrong here. Yeah, I was trying to get close enough to see if there was any Harpy or Siren that needed to be shot out of the sky, and when I saw one, it was just so far out of range that I couldn't leap to it. So I'm trying to walk towards where I saw the Harpy or the Siren, and I see there's this emoji out here, immediately then teleporting. And I don't like that. I've got a bad feeling about this thing, and then of course I've got a bad feeling about this Khepri. So I know, obviously I know this is a bad matchup. My thought process was maybe if I can just do enough damage in the air and land someplace in cover, I can actually win this fight. But, I mean, the spear did most of the work, but there was enough damage done from those lasers. Now, the good news is I have a solution for the emoji, because I've got the Siren and the quantum radar on the Siren. So satisfying. So satisfying every time. But little did I realize, apparently the Harpy didn't like my, or was that I guess that was probably also a Siren. Didn't like how I took out the friend. So, and this is where my inexperience on Team Deathmatch comes in maybe a little bit, but I find myself in a situation where I drop in and now I'm kind of stuck. Because if I try to cross anywhere, I'm going to have everybody putting fire on me. So I'm much better off staying in cover and forcing them to come to me. Which, 1, lets me fight him up close like I want to. And 2, gives my teammates the opportunity to shoot at them like a shooting gallery. But this does result in a whole lot of boring, well, sitting. I was going to say camping, but I'm not camping in the sense that, like, I'm not waiting for someone to come out so I can shoot at them. I'm just pinned down, like I'm stuck here, kind of, and waiting for someone to come be shot at by me. So, fortunately, the Reds do oblige me with a rocket Harpy there. This is going to be a continuation of the Seraph swooping in to tickle you with weapons that don't do much damage and then falling over because they got shot. I was very lucky. This is the first of like 80 times where I was very lucky to have the teammates who were watching out for me, because I didn't see any way I was going to survive the angler here. But fortunately, my teammates are very effective and very helpful. Unfortunately, it leaves me back in the same position I was already in. So I didn't necessarily want to ditch exactly, but I was feeling salty about my circumstances, and I didn't want to also reward any of the Reds with a kill. Now, I understand it doesn't, like on the scoreboard, it still accrues the ticker, but I didn't want any individual to have the pride of it. Because to be fair, what did this guy do? I'm here with 36,000. Giving the Aether here a kill is really, you know, it's not like I'm depriving him of something to which he was entitled. Ah, yes, you can tell the Owlming did not expect an Arthur to pop in. And we're gonna do a dance with, I guess that's a Harpy? I don't know. Is that a Siren? I can't tell. But we're gonna be doing a dance with this thing where this guy keeps going up to try to shoot, and he finds out I'm still there, and he goes back down and hides. It goes over and over and over again. And this is where the team support really coalesces, because a whole bunch of team support comes in at once, where shortly I get a Mender healing me, and then I have an entire back row. I have an entire Greek chorus behind me of other bots. And what happens over and over again is a bot will try to come in to get behind me to take me out. And the shooting gallery commences with the rest of the team behind me shooting at the bot trying to take out my back. And it works surprisingly well. Like I'm existing in a space somewhere between cover shooter and bait. And I love it. Because it works out very well. In my humble opinion, anyway. Sorry, I keep turning my head away from the mic because it's actually early. It was late, and now it's early. Yeah, so there's another bot trying to get behind me, and I want to believe the Imuchi didn't think he was going to rust me to death. Maybe he thought somebody would come through the teleporter to help or what, but whatever it was, it didn't happen. And the Nether, you know, shows up and dances, but there's a whole lot of bots back here, so... And this status quo continues just longer than you think should be sustainable. But looking at the scores, you know, we're kind of in a little bit of a stalemate, but the attrition is starting to take its toll on the red team. I'm not sure what Seraph was doing with holding down the button. I mean, it doesn't really matter, right? Because it's a very quick reload, but they were blind, and I'm behind cover, so... And you can see my tiny teammate Mender, the real MVP here, keeping my Arthur alive and keeping the status quo of stalemate alive. Here comes an angler who's going to do the same thing so many other bots have tried to do, and charge me, and then discover I've got a lot of team support. I was hoping I could get him with the Arthur's Blast ability, but ultimately my teammates were just too quick for me to actually successfully do that. Now my health is getting kind of comparatively low. I mean, you know, not in the grand scheme of things because it's a Titan, but at this point I'm getting a little bit nervous about my health, and wouldn't you know who won the pony, but a teammate with a Heimdall shows up. I still had the Mender over there. Oh no, yeah, he's in a Skyrus. He got blown up when the Angler was phased. I think I don't know if the Angler got him or it was somebody shot him while the Angler was there. Yet another angler trying to decide, like, who should get the award for repeating the same mistake the most, but they did take out my alpha weapon. So now I'm just 2 beta weapons and a small health pool being raised by a Heimdall. And this is where I think we sensed there was blood in the water when it's 5-on-3. We've you know, just gotten a 1 kill advantage. But the bot advantage is so substantial. And we start pressing our advantage and marching towards their spawn. That was the 50th time that Siren or Harpy went up, decided it didn't want to be taken out by blindies, and went back down. Like, hey man, if you're that shy, why come out to play at all? Yeah, this is... I could feel the desperation of this, where the Seraph is like, well, I can't really trade fire here, so I'm just going to try to cover shoot 1 laser over the edge. And it did stuff. I mean, it wasn't nothing, but it wasn't going to take out the beefy health pool of even a half-dead Arthur. So, really, through the teamwork and support of my teammates, it wasn't particularly useful. Well, I guess, you know, you can make your own judgment about that. But we did manage to actually eke out a win despite my inexperience with the format and the robots. And although, you'll see, I come in 5th, I did enough damage that I just didn't get the kills. I did plenty of damage, but I just didn't get the kills. I mean, not, you know, I wasn't going to set the world on fire with it, but in damage, I would have been 4th, so that would have been solid. So, anyway, if you've made it this far, thank you for reaching the end of the video. If you're a dog or cat at home alone, I'm sure you're a good puppy or kitty. When your parents come home, they're going to give you a treat. I'll talk to you later.